Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. Hope you're having the best Monday you possibly can, right? Father's Day was yesterday. I got to spend some time with my wife and my one of my sons anyway. And we went played a little golf yesterday, and well, let's just face it, right? It is getting hot here in the Valley of the Sun. It was like 114 degrees out there. But you know what? It's a dry heat. We'll just keep saying that. Sooner or later, maybe I'll believe it. But it was a good Father's Day overall. And then, of course, it's Monday, so now everybody's got to go back to work. But here we are. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And I guess we survived the No Kings rallies and the big military parade. Israel and Iran trading bombs back and forth. I'll just be honest, that's another thing that didn't need to happen. Just add it to all the other stuff that doesn't need to happen. Now we got ships and planes and everything else heading over there. And don't worry, we'll just keep putting it all on the credit card. What could possibly go wrong? And then we had the thing in Minnesota. Man, you hate to see that now. Now we're knocking off elected officials, I guess. Yeah. Listen, this is what happens. They've played this game, divided the country. I had a spirited debate with some friends of mine about the No Kings rally, about Israel and Iran, Ukraine and Russia, and, just kind of telling people, hey, guys, this isn't what you think. This isn't what you think. None of this stuff needs to happen, but yet here we are. So why is it happening? And the answer really is simple. They need it to happen. And what I mean by that, who's they? And why do they need it to happen? We have a debt monetary system, plain and simple. What does that mean? Well, that means we have currencies that are just pieces of paper with pretty little designs on them. I don't even know if you can call them pretty or not. And then, of course, even the designs, right? People read into those, right? Is there hidden meanings behind these quote-unquote pretty little designs? And we have, credits and debits, and they have all this money that they sit there and put into your bank accounts. Is it the only place? I don't know if it's the only place. But the power the banks have over the people, it's incredible, the nonsense that they allow for these banks to get away with. It's disgusting. And we tolerate it. We accept it. It's not backed by anything. It's perceived value. And right now, the perceived value, I don't know if it could be lower. And unfortunately, the solution, got to spend more. Right? That's the solution. Because, and honestly, guess what, guys? That is the solution for a fiat money system. That's the solution. See, when they tricked us all, now most of us weren't around when they brought in the central bank, where they brought it back to the United States. By the way, that was the end of the end. It was. All of these guys, and I don't know if you know the story, don't know the story, but the bankers met in secret in Jekyll Island, Georgia. And they were really mad because twice they tried to put a central bank into this country. They had 20-year charters, both times. And both times, when the 20 years was up, we said, yeah, nah, get out. The bankers did what bankers do. Well, how can we make it so we can get back in again? I know. Let's make sure that people that are banker friendly get elected. How did they do that? Well, kind of like they do today, right? They spent a lot of money. Right? Of course they did. Married money. Then they met in secret and came up with this plan to get a new central bank back in. And guess what? They did it. They did it. And, of course, they did it over a holiday. Nobody most of the people weren't there. Some people mysteriously died, when this stuff was coming around. But, it's just coincidence. Just coincidence. Don't worry about it. Took the money away from the people. But promised. Oh, no, guys. Listen, it's not going to be like other times, right? We're going to borrow when we need to, but pay it back when things get better. Well, they got the borrowing part down, didn't they? 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Monday. Let's take a quick look at the markets. So obviously Friday, bad market, right? The whole Iraq, or Iraq, right? It kind of feels like Iraq, doesn't it? More nuclear weapons, okay. Pay no attention to what Tulsi Gabbard said 2 weeks earlier, but in any event, that's for, you know what, we're going to talk more about that on the next show. The Dow's up 400 points today, so we've got, down about 800 Friday, up 400 today. S&P up 67, NASDAQ up 300 on, maybe cooler heads will prevail here. The 10-year note, 441. Oil is down a couple of dollars, even though Israel did hit some of Iran's oil and gas infrastructure. But again, mostly predicated on maybe this thing won't get any worse. Gold off about 30 right now, 34.02 when it comes to gold. Silver is higher today. So is platinum. Silver 36.35. Platinum up 35. $1,263. And I'll caution you all. Don't get caught up here. Don't get caught up. Understand why these things are happening. Understand that they've decided. Here's what they made this, and I'll say this: the central bank, along with Congress, this is what they've decided. And it was funny, over the weekend, I was telling you about some spirited debates I had with some buddies. They were talking about the Marines and the National Guard, and they loved it. They thought it was great. Yes. No, guys. Federal government isn't the answer. It's not. And the second we've decided that we need to get the answer for them, we're in trouble. And we are. Because the central banks decided to hell with economics. Right? Think about the financial crisis as an example. Alan Greenspan, right? They fooled us. from the early 80s, they were able to put a plan in place that from, let's just say 1980 to, they didn't even get all the way to 2010. So less than 30 years. They took interest rates from about 16%. I mean, it's kind of funny to think about. Could you imagine 1980 to get a home loan and it was at 20%? Right? Of course, the house was what, 30 grand? You know? All the way to zero. Zero. Well, that's not what was supposed to happen. Matter of fact, remember in the late 90s, they had everyone convinced. See, guys, we figured it out. Look how great we are. And of course, how great were they? Well, they spent a bunch of money we didn't have, lied about it. I'm talking about Social Security. See, most people don't even remember that. Do you know Social Security used to be pay as you go? Most people forget that. What does that mean, pay as you go? Well, it just meant every year the government would charge, they were charging you 1%, 2%, 3% on the payroll tax. And if they had to adjust it, let's just say a year went by, Social Security went up, we got to adjust it a little bit. I got to pay, 3.25%. Maybe 5 years up, got to adjust it again, got to pay like 3.5%. And that's how it was. Right up until the early 80s, when they did the big Reagan tax cuts. They pulled the fast one on us. Alan Greenspan's reward, by the way, became head of the central bank. This was his reward for pulling the fast one. What was the fast one? Hey, let's stop pay as you go for Social Security. And let's convince them. We'll give them a big tax cut. So then we can jump up the FICA tax. And they'll come out ahead. Right? And of course we fell for, we want that. And we'll build up this surplus so when the baby boomers retire, it'll be great. Right? We'll have it paid for. Won't have to worry about it. Then, nobody was paying attention. They had a vote in Congress. And the congressman voted, and maybe there was a few women there at the time. Hey, you know what? We shouldn't save that money. Right? I'm serious. This is what they decided. We'll just spend it. And we'll just put some bonds in the filing cabinet and hope nobody notices. And the funny part was, they got to lie about the debt. Yeah. For decades. And guess what? The media went right along with it. Heck, right around that time, right? When did the stock channels all come out, right? Cheerleading, everyone, yes, this is great. Look at how great the economy is, and the deficit's not that bad. Heck, they even told us there were some surpluses when Bill Clinton was there. They did. They literally did. There actually wasn't, but that's besides the point. And then they told us they'd pay off the national debt. Yes. Don't worry, guys. Okay. And Alan Greenspan, right, the creator of this, the maestro. Gosh. Man, they put that guy up on that pedestal, didn't they? Right? Paul Volcker, legend, crushed inflation, and then Alan Greenspan, the maestro. Yeah, guys, sorry. We just got duped. We're going to pay off the debt. That was Alan Greenspan was like, okay, yeah, I duped you guys. But this is how we're going to fix it. By paying off the national debt by 2010, and think about all the interest we're going to save, we won't have a problem. Well, guess what? We're paying, what, $1.3 trillion in interest this year? Listen, and that's going to be the cheapest it's going to be for, like, the rest of our lives? And somehow, people think that this is normal, Jason. That, hey, you know what? Yeah, okay. I just saved this article. Do you know that they're now telling people that you need to save $105,000 by the time your child is 18 years old so you will be able to afford, ready for this, half of his college or her college if they go to a state-run school, right? You know, the cheaper schools, right? You can't send them to the Ivies for that. No. But you can go to Colorado State, ASU, U of A, and pay for half. What happens if you got like 3 kids? Right? And what if you wanted to pay for the whole thing? Jason, they're talking, and we talked about it last week. This is Spaceballs type money spending that we're talking about. They are now hitting ludicrous speed and trying to convince us that they're doing the right thing.
100,000 is not going to be enough in 18 years. I mean, it depends on what.
Yeah, that was just to pay for half, allegedly.
It won't be for.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're talking a toddler or a brand new baby, that 100,000 that's going to be far short of half. $100,000. I almost feel like you could be putting that much gas in your car over a couple of years, right? I don't see how 100,000. How bad is the education going to be in 18 years if it's $100,000 for half the education? The inflation is going to push things way past that number. You're going to need $300,000 for half of an education. I could see the $500,000 average college education for the full ride. I can see it. I can see that in 18 years. I mean, look, where are we at 2025? The year 2040, I can see that. $400,000, $100,000 a year. Easy. $500,000 easy. And then if you want to go to a really good school, that'll be $1 million to $1.5 million. Easy. I don't even see how that doesn't happen. We got inflation that's crawling right up here, and a lot of people eventually will say, well, why don't we just go bankrupt? Why don't we just declare bankruptcy? You know, what Trump, lured me into one of the things lured me into voting for him the first time in 2016. He's like, maybe we'll just declare bankruptcy and clean up this mess. I was like, yeah, all right. Tell those bankers to get out of here. And no, all the debts have to be paid, and the interest payments will grow, and the inflation will get hot. And 15 years, Joe, I can't even fathom what it's going to cost in 15 years. How many emergencies are we going to swim through, and how expensive will gold be in 2040? Gold will definitely be $10,000 in 2040. Most likely it'll be $20,000 in 15 years because it's just going to keep moving. Everything's going to double every 10 years. 10 years, we'll say 15 years. So what is gold? We'll just say gold's $3,500. It'll double to $7,000 in 10 years. It'll be $10,000 in 2040. That's a guarantee, and that's without any hyperinflative emergencies and wars that'll compound it, Joe.
Let me give you another example. State Farm, okay? They were granted a 17% interim increase in California for insuring your home, which took effect June 1st, right? So it just took effect. Well, they've submitted a letter saying that, sorry, this just isn't enough. We need another 30% increase, and it needs to be done by this fall. Otherwise, State Farm says it will have no choice but to simply leave the state of California. They are the largest home insurer in the state. Jason, remember Jay Pauli? It's so funny. they'll say something and the media will ignore it. Like Jay Powell, what was it? I don't know, not even 90 days ago. Oh, there'll be large parts of the country where most people won't even be able to buy a home. Not because of the cost. Oh, we already have that right now, just on cost. Nope. Because if you don't pay cash, there will be nobody that will actually insure your home. Right? And of course, why do I got a feeling they'll probably change the mortgage rules that, probably, you don't need mortgage insurance anymore, and then if the house burns down, you can just file bankruptcy. I don't know, right? I don't think the mortgage companies would go for that. They'd be like, yeah, nah, never mind. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Monday. Got a very limited but very exciting silver special today. Silver now going, a week plus now, over $36. Matter of fact, up today, I've got 50 rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles. So that's 2 cases, 50 rolls. U.S. Silver Eagles. I mean, $8.50, $8.55, that's a really good price. $8.40, super price. $820, spectacular pricing. $815 on these 50 rolls. That's just ridiculous pricing. By the way, that's a whopping, ready for this, $5 more than rolls of rounds right now at $810. So you get 21-ounce U.S. Silver Eagles here in the United States. It is the premier silver coins, right? Remember, gosh, it was crazy. You know what? During COVID, the premiums were like double the actual spot price. That's the type of thing silver can do, and I will say right now, the only question I have for silver, is it going to be 40 or is it going to be 50 before the end of this year? That's the only question I have. And unfortunately, I'm saying 40, but I actually believe it's probably going to be 50. But $815 for U.S. Silver Eagles. I only have 50 rolls of them at 800-951-0592. And keep adding to your portfolios here. And again, being able to buy rolls of Silver Eagles this close to what you're going to buy silver bars and silver rounds for, that doesn't happen. So take advantage of it. 800-951-0592. And Jason, and I'll just say this. When they're gone, they're gone. I don't care. If someone want to buy all 50 rolls, I don't care. You want to buy one roll, I don't care. We will have the Fed this week on Wednesday. Oh, boy. I wonder what words Donald Trump's going to use when Jay Powell doesn't cut rates again. That should be entertaining. Of course, the G7 is going on right now, and I'm sure they're all happy about going after Iran. We will get retail sales this week and jobless claims. So Remember jobless claims last week? Not great, right? Not horrible, but not great, right? Approaching that 250 and above level. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But Jason, I think the one thing is clear. Whatever they need to do to spend more money, they're going to do. And that's the plan. It makes no economic sense. But then again, they stopped making economic sense really since they created the Fed again in 1913. By the way, you can thank them for the income tax as well. Let's not bring that up, though. I guess as long as people think they were better off, then it was okay. And now all of a sudden, a lot of people don't think they're better off anymore. And I know a lot of us that have kids that, Jason, are our kids' age, right, guys? They're late teens, early 20s, and everyone younger than that. People are like, man, what's it going to be? What's it going to? I mean, we just talked about. They're telling people today you got to save $100,000 by the time your kid's 18, just to go and pay for half of what they think a state college is going to cost in 18 years. It's ridiculous.
I would say the prices of everything we're dealing with right now seem ridiculous, but it's the way inflation works, right? Too many Federal Reserve notes for too few goods, and you got to make. If you want the price of things to go down, you got to create more goods. But if the price to make the goods keeps getting more expensive because you're printing too many dollars, and that's simply it. It does irritate me a little bit when you hear people's like, "Well, inflation is the price of goods going up." It really isn't. It really isn't.
It's not.
It's the dollars, and the dollars fight for the same product. It's right. An ounce of gold and a cow are essentially about the same price for a long, long, long time. 1 ounce of gold and one whole live cow. Yes, it fluctuates a little bit, but it sure hasn't fluctuated how many dollars Federal Reserve notes it took to buy a cow. It used to be $20, $20 gold piece. Now, Joe, what, $3,000, $4,000 for a cow? You know,
right? We'll getting there,
yeah,
right, getting there.
Yes. So, and of course, the cows are a lot of the cows are not made the way they were. You know, anytime you get the inflated state we've had the last 100 years, then you try to cheapen the product. So we probably don't get the same cow we used to get, but that's how it works. You know, that shows you the whole thing. You get the inflation, things cost more and more, they keep printing all this money, and then even the things that you have that you need to get, like the cow, they do everything they can to cheapen it to try to try to keep up with this, which they can. So that's when we end up with the RFK Jr. trying to fix the food supply, right? Because we've cheapened things with shrinkflation, because you can give that the free shrinkflation label. You know, trying to make the products you're buying cheapen it, whether it's the ingredients or just the size of the package. You know, the box of cereal in the 70s.
Or make it somewhere else.
Or of course, that's what we did in the 70s, right, Joe? Nixon was the first president to get over there to China, and now we're here, right? I remember the 1980s. Remember all the jokes? What was that Michael Keaton movie where they were working on the Japanese, and they're like, oh, the Japanese are going to buy everything. It was made in Japan. Japan's going to take it all. Well, Japan inflated their way right out of that position. Why do I get the feeling China's getting, the big scary China? They'll inflate their way out of being the makers of everything. It's going to, Vietnam, and then it's going to go to Africa, right? And we'll do the same thing to those people, right? I mean, how cheap is it to make stuff in Africa? I'm guessing that's being produced as we speak, right?
Patriot Radio News Hour. We're going to be back. A big update on TEXIT. Did you see what happened this weekend? We'll fill you in right after the break. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Monday. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles at 50 rolls. They're $815 which is just out of sight pricing. Tell you what, you want to buy a case of them? I'll take another $5 off. So a case, $20,250. You get 25 rolls. That would be down to like $810. Nobody's cheaper anywhere. 800-951-0592. You know, and Jason, we keep telling everybody, listen, gold and silver, it's for you to preserve what you already have. I don't think people understand. Well, I know they don't understand how much more everything's going to cost. And I know there's a lot of people, oh, well, no, inflation, that's over now. Right? It's over now. Look at we've gotten these reports that say that it's all done now. We don't have to worry about it anymore. We are easily fooled. That is not how it works. I wish it was, but it's not. And I'll just say that you better have a plan of how you are going to make considerable amounts of money, because let me tell you what you're not going to get. Huge stock market rallies are over. They are. Why? Because the debt's too big. Right? It's just over. It is. Everything, and I mean everything, and I don't care if it's the cost of the house, the cost to insure the house, the cost to replace the roof, the water heater, you name it, people have no idea what's coming. We've been talking to you about TEXIT for about the last 6 weeks, right? Maybe an opportunity to go back kind of in time and jump on something like Bitcoin before we really knew. You know what? I know I fit into this, right? Before I wanted to accept what the realities were going to be. You know, when we first started talking about TEXIT, it was like 55 cents. When I first was told about it, it was 46 cents. We went on the air. I think the first day we went on the air, right, Jason, was what, like 55 cents. Then it went to 60 cents. Then it went to $1. It's been hanging around $1 for like the last 3 weeks or so. And I kept telling you, hey, get ready. Get ready. It had a market cap of $23 million. Then it went to $30 million. Then it went to $40 million. Today it's almost $60 million, on its way to $100 million. Yesterday, TEXIT had one of the largest volume days. I think it was the largest volume day ever. Almost 200,000 shares trading hands. Remember, 100,000 is the level we're looking for and going up from there. All of the coins, for those of you that have been joining us in the mining program, all the coins are up 30% today. Yep, TEXIT at $1.30. It's been as high as $2. Jason, I am certain, right? We're probably going to be looking at this $1.50 to $2 level for in the immediate future, right? Don't be surprised if TEXIT's $2 before the end of June, get ahead of schedule. But remember last week, I told you Bobby Gray, the founder, guaranteed it. Again, telling anybody that would listen, it's going to be $16 by February. I know a lot of you have joined. Some of you have been kind of waiting. How's this going to work? Is it really going to happen? If you want to sign up, and don't miss this thing. It's still or listen, there's risk here. Oh, I can't highlight that enough. Here's the thing that we love. $995 is the least amount you can spend. The most amount you can spend is $8,955. That's it. You're buying mining shares. Each share costs $995. This is a cryptocurrency. TXC is the symbol for those of you that want to look it up. If you buy 5 mining shares at $9.95, they will give you 1 free share, which just means you get more coins every day. If you buy 9 mining shares at the $8,955, you get 2 free shares. How do you sign up? Call us. 800-951-0592. Final segment. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagle. Supplies are extremely limited at this price. $815 for a roll of U.S. Silver Eagles. That is only $5 more than a roll of rounds. If you buy a case, which is 25 rolls, we'll take it down to $810 or $20,250 at 800-951-0592. And then, of course, we are talking before the break once again about TEXIT. Kind of, they classify themselves as a Bitcoin reboot and allows everyone to become miners in these coins. This, by the way, now is becoming very popular out there in the world. Right now, they go, oh yeah, you can what they call it, like e-mining and group mining and trying to do things that TEXIT is doing right now. The price up over 30% over the weekend. Record volume for TEXIT, which is outstanding. Remember, they have a price point of $16 by February. And, of course, they're saying by the end of the summer, right, they're going to be on Kraken and Coinbase and kind of be out everywhere. Get in while it's already, the cool part about mining shares, you get coins every single day. Every day. And you'll get them for 116 years. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it. The cool part, right, they don't allow for the big investors, as I told you, the maximum they allow you to put in, $8,955. That's it. That's all you can put in. Why? Because they don't want it controlled by the big banks. And people can say what they want. Oh, this currency or this digital, it's decentralized, that's decentralized. Is it really? if only the big players are doing all the mining. Of course it isn't. For those of you that are already involved, you want to sign people up under you, call us. We'll help you do it. It's a simple process. If you sign other people up, Jason, they reward you by giving you can get more shares. You can get rewarded in TEXIT coin itself, or heck, they'll even give you cash money. The options are endless here.
Yeah, this is definitely something you can do. Is if you've got, especially if you already have a Coinbase account, a Kraken account, if you've dabbled in some of this already, in your there's people that listen to the radio station that are into this stuff. It's slow but steady. People are learning this. There's money to be made. You can sign up your friends. It's a lot easier when you have crypto friends. They can sign up a lot easier. If you're signing people up and collecting the funds like Joe and I, you better get a Coinbase account open, get a Kraken account open, so you can onboard these people. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get going, it can be pretty fun, Joe. And watching the price go up 30% on a Father's Day was pretty cool.
It was pretty fun. We'll be back with the Half Empty Cup.